see, so can you imagine we are close to Ramadan?
Of course, yes.
Ramadan is when in August. Just like that. So if you tell somebody in Ramadan, I'm going to send you 10,000, make sure you already have 5,000 in the account, okay? Because Ramadan is already here. So as we mentioned, today is Sunday. The Jumad al-Awwal, the 4th of Jumad al-Awwal, the year is 1431 Hijri, which is on the Gregorian calendar. Today is April the 18th, 2010. We are in Masjid Gafar in the Bronx, New York. So I was saying that today we're going to be talking about Suratul Baqara. The word Al-Baqarah from this surah is taken from the verse, the story about Bani Israel and Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in the 67th ayah to the 73. That's where that word Baqarah, Inna Allah ya'murukum an tadhabu Baqarah. And then Musa, you know what happened to him, inshallah, we're going to be explaining if Allah allows us. And this surah, Suratul Baqarah, is a Madani surah. We realize that Suratul Fatiha is a Makki surah. A Makki surah, as we keep repeating until this sinks in our brain, a Makki surah is a surah which was revealed before Hijrah. And Hijrah is when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina. And a Madani surah is not a surah necessarily sent in Medina, but is a surah which was sent after Hijrah. More than the great part of this surah was revealed in the first 2 years when the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina. And almost 1/3 of the ayat of this surah are talking about what? The Jew. The Bani Israel. Because when they come from Mecca to Medina, they are already there. They know him, يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They know who the Prophet ﷺ is. All of these Banu Qurayza, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Nadir, they know who the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is. And also, some of the virtue of this surah are as follows. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, do not turn your houses into graves. Verily, Shaitan does not enter into the house where Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. If you don't want Shaitan to enter into your house, what do? Make sure you recite Surah Al-Baqarah. If you don't have the time to read it before you go out, if you have a cassette of Surah Al-Baqarah, press the button, go out. If you have a computer, Surah Al-Baqarah, go out. Going to get recited. When you come, Shaitan, no, in the house you have a peace. Because the Prophet ﷺ ordered Muslims to pray all of the 5 prayers in the Masjid. But when you finish in the Masjid, it's not finished. When you go home, don't turn what? Don't turn your houses into graves. Because in the graves, do you pray in the graves? No. Number 2. The Prophet ﷺ said in authentic hadith, he said, everything has a peak. Anytime you are doing something, you have a peak time. And the higher peak of the Quran is what? Is Surah Al-Baqarah. Whoever recites Surah Al-Baqarah at night in his house, and then Shaitan will not enter that house for 3 nights. If you recite Surah Al-Baqarah Sunday, so you are guaranteed for 3 coming nights, Shaitan is on the highway, on the other side. It won't come to your house. You're going to have a peace. And whoever recited during a day in his house, Shaitan will not enter into his house for 3 days. So if you read it on the night time, 3 nights, Shaitan won't come to your house. So to show you the importance of this surah. Number 3, the Prophet ﷺ ordered us to learn Suratul Baqara and Surah Al Imran. Because he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, learn Suratul Baqara because in learning it, there is a blessing. In ignoring it, there is a sorrow, and the sorcerers cannot memorize it. He said, learn Surah Al-Baqarah and Al Imran because they are two lights and they shade the people on the day of judgment. You know, the day of judgment there is what? The sun will come down, right? And the narrator of the hadith says it's going to come on the distance of a mile. And then he said, I don't know if it's 1 mile as a distance or a mile, because a mile is like a utensil people use to put something on their you know that, right? Like in Africa, that the people use it to put on their eyes or something. So he said, I don't know if it's the distance of 1 mile or the distance of that small thing you put in your. The scientific, they show that right now, today. Do you know how far the sun is with our planet? It's millions of miles. Because if the sun comes close, what's going to happen? We can't live anymore. Millions of miles. But on summertime, when it's 120 degrees, what do? We need air conditioning. The sun is still how many miles? Millions of miles. So what about the day? فَكَيْفَ تَتَّقُونَ إِن كَفَرْتُمْ يَوْمَ يَجْعَلُ الْوِلْدَانُ شِيبًا. The day when the children, the babies who are dead as babies, when they put them in their grave in New Jersey, on the day of judgment, when you see these babies from their grave, all of their hair is what? Gray. Allah is saying that in the Quran. What about you and I? That day, even the baby, يَوْمَ يَجْعَلُ الْوِلْدَانُ Shiba, shake. Do we even think about that day? Brother, it's a scary day. So the sun will come up. Let's say it's 1 mile. How are we going to protect ourselves? وَلَقَدْ جِئْتُمُونَا فُرَادًا كَمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ. The day of judgment, when we come from our grave, there is no clothes, there is no shoes, there is no cell phone. Who will you call him? Who is going to pick up your phone? When إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضِ زِلْزَالَهَا, AT&T, Singular, T-Mobile, all of these are already what? Gone. Who are you going to call? Nothing. Are you surprised that the day of judgment you're going to wake up naked? Are you surprised? When they take you and I in the grave, do you wear something? So why are we surprised when they say the day of judgment, we are going to be resurrected naked with nothing? The only one who's going to have clothes on is going to be what? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So when they take somebody in the grave, even these are kuffar, when they dress him, they put him what? They put tie and everything on the grave. When they put him in the grave, 3 days, go to the grave and see what's going to happen. 3 days. The eyes will multiply like 3 times. The sign, they say that there is, when somebody dies, there is in his body a substance called rigor mortis. This rigor mortis, 3 hours. They say 3 hours, this destroy the whole body. 3 hours is already what? If they don't put him some injection or, back home they put something on him or something, when they tell you, is that brother you just saw, you say, no, it's not him. 3 hours. Now when they put on the grave, there is no oxygen. There is nothing. 3 days, what's going to happen to that coffin? Going to what? Explode. What about that person who is there? No. So, on that day, when there is no shadow except the shadow of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you learn Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran, they are going to be like two shades, umbrella. They coming up, they're coming to you, everybody's looking, they're coming to your head. And then, who are you? So you forget, it's me, Surah Al-Baqara and Surah Al-Imran. Allahu Akbar. Because you take the time to learn us, today we come to protect you. Just like the Prophet ﷺ mentioned on that day, there are 7 types of people who are going to be on the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when there is no other shade. Sab'atun, right? Among them, there is Imam al-Alim, and just Imam. And those young people who grow up worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Among them, there are those people whose heart is linked to Masjid. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anytime you see somebody coming to Masjid, you have to testify he's a good man. It doesn't mean he doesn't make a mistake, right? We all make mistakes day and night. But anytime you see somebody always come to Masjid, you testify he's a good man. He have what? Iman. May Allah increase us in Iman. And also, we have to know that this surah is the longest surah in the Quran. If you want to see what is the longest surah in the Quran, is what? Is Surah Baqara. Number 2, it has the longest ayah in the Quran, which is the verse 282, which is talking about what? About debt. Can you imagine? The longest ayah in the Quran is talking about what? Debt. Brothers, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take all of us out of debt. You know why? May Allah take us out of debt. If somebody owes some money, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if somebody wants to lie, try to be in debt, you're going to become a liar. If somebody owes somebody money, just see him say, Salaam alaikum, say, wa alaikum salam. Oh, wallahi, I was trying to call you. And then my cell phone was, I lost your number. Wallahi. Because what? Have a debt. Or maybe you see a brother call him to just see how he's doing. But he thought that person is going to ask what? About money. He won't pick up the phone. Or tell them I'm not home. Right? Somebody owes money, he says, hide me somewhere. Tell them I'm not here. If you want to have a peace, stay away from what? Stay away from debt. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take us out of debt. And usually people are looking at the United States of America as something different. Some people think that America is what? Is already Jannah. Do you see is the Jannah? Before you come in this country, you think America is Jannah. You think it's El Dorado, right? In the Western world, only in the United States, the saving is negative. Let me back up. By the way, I'm in economics. I'm graduating in economics. Let me go back and explain something. Before you save some money, and this one, everybody can understand this, right? Saving is equal to what? What you have minus your expenses, right? Everybody understand that, right? So for instance, if you are paid 300 a week and your expenses are 200, it means that how much can you save? 100. So it means that your revenue is what? 300. Your expenses is what? 200. Your saving is how much? 100. So there is no way your saving should be less than 0, right? Meaning, if your money is 300 and your expenses is 300, how much do you have saving? 0. Is this good or bad? It's good because you have what? At least it's 0, right? Is that clear? If you have 300, your expenses is 250. How much do you say? 50. Okay. Now, if you have your earnings 300 and your expenses is 400, are you saving? How much debt do you have? How much? That's what is happening in America. In the whole Western world, only in the United States, the saving is negative. How? You see what's happening on the Wall Street, right? People are cooking books. We have this, we have this. You know what happened to heaven? The heaven, all of these, the company, the cook, we have this, doesn't have anything. And also, the credit card, right? You have 300, they give you credit card for 1,000, you use it. When are you going to save it? That's why people are what? Debts, and debts. College, debt. Housing, debt. Car, help me. Car, debt. Everything is what? Debt. You cannot do anything except what? Debt. You see a brother say he's from Africa and so forth. Oh, I have a house. Did you buy it? You're going to be paying for 35 years with haram because this is riba. But I say, I have a house. You have a house? You know what that means to have a house? Is it your house? Or you see somebody have a car, 30,000 car. This is my car. No, this is the car of the bank. That's your car. You don't own that. It's the what? What about the foreclosure? What is happening? People say, this is my house, and then suddenly they come to see big cross. It's out. You told me this is your house, right? No, this is the bank house, not your house. You have to live in your means. So that's why the longest, all of these are the mu'jiz of the Quran. The longest surah in the Quran is talking about what? Death. You may be in Africa, you may be somewhere, you don't even know what is death. Maybe the money you have is what you use. You have respect with everybody. But what about here? Everything there. Everything. People are sinking. Oh my God, let me change it. Okay, we can put it. Okay, 30,000, 35,000. Okay, I can pay 300. Everything's fine. Debt, you are sinking. You are not even thinking. And then when you realize, you already are swimming. You don't even know how to get out. Even the kuffar themselves, they are telling people, stay out of what? But we, the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, already tell us 1,000 years ago. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to understand this. Number 3 also is, this surah has the last surah revealed in the Quran. In Surah Al-Baqarah is where we have the last surah, the last ayah sent in the Quran, which is the verse 281. We all know what is the first ayah in the Quran? Iqra. Which means what? Read. So reading is powerful, brothers and sisters. When you go to the hospital, before, even if you are dying, what does the doctor, what do? They have to take a pen. At least they need to write your name. Even if you die, they need to put something in your name, right? No matter where you go. That's why among the first thing Allah created was what? Pen. That's how powerful knowledge is, brothers and sisters. That's how powerful knowledge is. One of the first things Allah created was what? The pen. And Allah said, write. And the pen asked, oh Allah, what do I have to write? And the pen, Allah replied, write the beginning and the end of everything. Ya salam. And the pen started writing. So this series, Allah already wrote it before even we were born today. Everything is what? is written. The last ayah in the Quran, Allah says, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا. And that's what we start with today. Allah said, the whole Quran I send down, I'm going to say the last ayah, which is وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا قَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. That's it. End of story. Verse 281 in Suratul Baqara. Allah said, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا. Fear a day. See, that's how we start with, about death. Allah, this is the last ayah in the Quran. Allah said, وَاتَّقُوا. Fear يَوْمًا. It's nakira. You don't know that day. تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. When you are taking a journey to Allah. You don't know how long. Allah who knows the beginning and the end. Allah says, fear that day. Ya salam. Because we don't know, we don't care, we don't fear that day. Allah who knows everything, Allah is asking you, وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا. That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. Zakiru, Hazimul Lazat. Always remember the color of all pleasures. You are with your children, you are with your car, you love your country, you love whatever. The Prophet ﷺ, Zakiru, says, remind. Increase your remembrance of the color of all pleasure. And they're asking, what is that, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? And he said, Al-Maut. It's death. Nothing can separate you to your job except what? Death. Nothing can separate you with your wife. Is what? Death. That's going to separate you from everything what you love and everything you hate. You want it, you don't want it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever wants to meet Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also want to meet him. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put in our heart to meet Allah. Whoever doesn't want to meet Allah, Allah says doesn't want to meet him. But anyway, kullu nafs dha'iqatul maut. Either you want to meet him or they will drag you to him. Yes, Allah. Which one do we have to choose? We surrender, we want to meet him, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take our soul only when he's pleased with us. And the last thing we need to mention about the virtue. All we have been saying is the virtue of this surah. The last thing we want to mention is this surah has the greatest ayah in the Quran. This surah is the longest surah. This surah has the longest ayah in the Quran. 1 page, 15 lines. This surah has the last ayah in the Quran, verse 281. This surah has what? The greatest ayah in the whole Quran, which is verse 255. Ayah to proceed. This is the greatest ayah in the whole Quran. So from this we see that Suratul Baqara, when you read it, you're going to get what? A lot of benefits. Now, all of these are some of the virtues of surrender about this surah. Now, inside of the surah itself, today we are going to be talking about verses number 1 to verse 39. And remember, this is what summary we are doing. We're going to summarize. If we run back, last week we said, when you are reading Surah Al-Fatiha, and you say, Ihdina as-sirati mustaqim. Oh Allah, guide me to the right path. And we mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you want the right path, here's what? The Quran. That's why Allah started with this surah. Say, when you ask me, Ihdina as-sirati mustaqim, Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alif Lam Mim. If you want the guidance, here's the book. when you take this book, ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. If you want me to guide you, here's the book. There is no doubt in this book before you even read it, and this is going to guide you to the right path. You ask me Suratul. And the ulama talk about the Alif Lam Mim. Some people may say Alif is Allah, Lam is Jibreel, Mim is Muhammad, and so forth. Yasin, all of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows. But what we need to know about this, Huruf al-Muqatta'a, is this. Anytime you see this Alif Lam Mim, in the next ayah, Allah is going to talk about Quran. You say Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ, the book. When he said Qaf wal Quran Majid, say Yasin wal Quran Hakim. Anytime you see this in the beginning, Allah is going to talk about Quran. When we talk about Alif Lam Ra, in Suratul Yusuf, right? It's Inna Anzalna alayka Quran Arabiyyan. Anytime you look on there, you can go and double check. You see what come after them is what? Allah is going to talk about the Quran. From verse number 1 in Surah Al-Baqarah to verse 20, Allah talk about three things. Number 1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about the believers. Because they are the one who want to what? The one that guide them. May Allah put among the believers. Number 2, Allah talk about the disbelievers. The kuffar, those who don't pray, don't believe on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 3, Allah talks about the hypocrites. Subhanallah. Just in the beginning, Allah is telling immediately that there are 3 types of people in the whole humanity. When you meet someone, either is one of these 3. Can you imagine how Quran is? It's telling you when you take any time you see someone is among these 3, period. Either is a Muslim, is a believer, either is a Gafar, or either is what? Munafiq. Do we have a third one? The fourth one? No. Either is a mu'min, or is a Kafir, or is what? Is a Munafiq. A believer is somebody who is a mu'min, he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever he out from his mouth, he tried his best to implement. It doesn't mean that he's complete. He can be a believer, but when he do something, it's not right. That's why Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Allah wants you to go to another level. It's different level. Because you have what? Islam. You have what? Iman. If your iman is strong, Allah wants you to get have what? Taqwa. When you get taqwa, you are not done yet. He wants you to move up until you become al-wali. That's why Allah says Suratul Yunus, Surah 10, verse 65. Allah says, Inna awliya Allah la khawfu alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. Alladhina amanu, you see, the first step, they are moving first. الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. يا سلام. So being a believer is not the end, is what? It's the beginning. Somebody can be a believer, but he's doing things like this, he's still a believer. Because he can say something and do something, he's still a believer. But if he follows, Allah will raise him up until any time when he says something, Allah will make it happen. Allahu Akbar. If he says, even if it's going to rain, and then he out and say it's not going to rain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will talk about his wali. He said, because people hear what he said, I will never put him down. All of this, it won't rain. Ya salam. It depends the way you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say something, it will never put down. Because you won't say whatever you want from your heart down. But you won't know these people. You will only know them about how they fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're going to be talking about which wali. Because there is two forms of wali. Because there is wali Allah and the wali of shaitan. We're going to talk about that. That's why Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said, if you see two people walking on the water, what you need to do is wait for them to come down and see their behavior. If this man is a believer, he follow Allah, Allah give it to him. If this man doesn't pray, he's a wali of what? Shaitan. So don't be surprised that it took for awliya. We're going to talk about that. So a believer, if somebody will follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a believer's life is simple, easy. You know what Allah did in this surah? Allah talked about them for 2 ayat only. Allah. Believers, when you see him in the mirror, you don't need to think twice. Allah doesn't even need to do two ayat or 3 ayat. That's it. The kafir, easy. He said he doesn't believe. Leave him alone. How many ayat? 2 or 3 ayat. That's it. But the munafiqun, 12 ayat. 12. Because he says a believer from what? It's not, but it's not a true believer. So they need to describe him so you know him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us. So all of these from from ayah number 1 to 20, Allah is describing about what? The believers, about the disbelievers, and then the munafiqun. The munafiqun, they are not among the kuffar, they are among what? The Muslims. Somebody can have some of the characteristics of a munafiq. When somebody lies too much, we won't say that it's a munafiq hereby have what? Some characteristic of what? Being a munafiq. If you give money to somebody and use it, he has some of the characteristics of what? A munafiq. You will see somebody, he has everything. So him is what? A munafiq. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned what? Innal munafiqina fi darqi asfala min an-nar. So on the day of judgment, even the kuffar, they are better than this man. Say, ma